Alright, so I have an idea that I've held for probably about a decade, explicitly, maybe longer than that implicitly. And I want to expose the idea to the light of day in case it doesn't make sense, so that I can disabuse myself of it if it's not real. I think it is, though. It goes something like this. Science can't talk about the origin of life or the origin of the universe because these things are singularities. And the scientific method involves observation, hypothesis, hypothesis, hypothesis means low or diminished idea or point. So a hypothesis is a pre-idea in English. You form a pre-idea, you form a preconception or a hypothesis about what you observed. You do an experiment. You replicate that experiment. You analyze the results of that experiment. Maybe the replication comes after, but you do an experiment, you analyze the results of that experiment. If the experiment yielded the results you expected, you attempt to replicate the experiment. And if the experimentation yields multiple independent attestations through replication of your hypothesis, then that hypothesis has a stronger claim to truth, to correspondence with the material world, with physical reality. That means and a bunch of hypotheses come together to form a theory or a law. Theory is not in the weak sense that we normally use it in speech, like, I've got a few theories, but I don't know. Theory meaning a body of replicatable, reliable, valid hypotheses have yielded us this set of rules by which we think the universe operates. And if it's not this set of rules, then it's close enough to this set of rules that assuming this set of rules allows us to do things, to do useful things. So if quantum physics is not true, it's close enough to the truth to enable us to produce microchips and supercomputers and semiconductors. So no one who says he doesn't believe in quantum physics should use an iPhone. That's another argument. So because you have to do experiments, because you have to replicate the results of those experiments, stuff that only happens once, it's not that it doesn't count, but you can't do science on it. You can't do science on stuff that only happens once. You have to do something else. You have to use another set of methods. You have to use another modus operandi, methodology. And so stuff that happened in the past, we have a field of study known as historiography, determining the guilt or innocence of an alleged criminal. We have criminology. We have forensic science. But we're not in the realm of science when we're figuring stuff out that only happened once. Because you can only do science on stuff that happens more than once. So, the beginning of the universe, the origin of the universe, only happened once, by definition. Theories of the multiverse or divergent timelines or the AB theory of time, that sort of thing aside, the universe began to exist once. This is an excuse to trot out my John Lennox impression. He was talking about Stephen Hawking and how he said, we see then, because of the laws of physics, that the universe can and must create itself out of nothing. But ladies and gentlemen, half a moment. This proves that foolishness is still foolishness even when it's uttered by high-powered scientists. I don't know if that John Lennox is any good. I think it is. Half a moment. But when people are saying that science demonstrates that the universe is either past eternal, which is what we thought pre-1930 in Big Bang Theory, or reducible to a singularity, as in the Big Bang Theory, they're not making a scientific claim. They're making a historical claim, a historiographical claim. Now, I think they're using empirical methods to construct a set of laws, and then they're trying to backlog those laws, like interpolate or extrapolate, maybe interpolate, work backwards, based on those laws to, reestablish the conditions in the moments before the singularity, even though that statement doesn't make sense on the AB theory of time. So what they're doing is constructing like a criminologist, or like a forensic scientist, or like a paleontologist, or like a historiographer. They're constructing a model that itself is based on what they think the laws were that would explain what occurred. But models, as any computing device, just like any other computing device, is the strength of a model depends on the strength of the inputs and the parameters. There's a term in computer science: garbage in, garbage out. So if I tell the computer, all right, every time you get 2 and 2 together, you put 5, that computer's going to crank out 2 + 2 = 5 because I built it wrong. It's a bad model. Because 2 + 2 don't equal 5. Where am I wrong? Somebody tell me where I'm wrong.